Hey, this is Simon. We have a lot of fun with our spoiler section and we want more of you to have access. So we've added the spoiler perk to the Landed Knight tier. Follow the link to buy me a coffee in the show notes and sign up to hear the future. Thanks. Hello, welcome to the Ghosts of Harrenhal. My name's Simon.
And I'm Mackelly.
Thank you for joining us for episode 306 of our chapter-by-chapter book review of A Song of Ice and Fire by George Martin. Today we'll be discussing chapter 34 of A Dance with Dragons, which is Bran 3.
And as always, we're going to chat about the chapter and try not to spoil any future plot points for you. Unless, of course, you have a Buy Me a Coffee Sustainer tier that includes spoilers, well, then we are going to spoil things for you. But regardless, hopefully we'll provide you some entertainment along the way.
We'll summarise what happened, discuss our thoughts on it, provide some useful background, compare it to the television show, indulge in a little pedantry, and cover some relevant news and listener correspondence. Be sure to check out the show notes, which will provide some additional information about the characters and other things of note in this chapter. How are you, Mackelly?
I'm doing all right. I got a big milestone coming up here shortly in my life.
Actually, I'm aware of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You wouldn't miss it for the world. Oh, wait,
hang on. Yeah.
I should have talked to Carson first. Yes, Stacey told me that interaction. That was quite humorous. I wouldn't miss it. Oh, wait, actually, I'm going to miss it.
I'm going to miss it. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm going to miss your birthday. That'll be fun, but can't be helped. I mean, like, your birthday is the second most important thing to me after seeing Judas Priest and Alice Cooper in concert.
I get it. I cannot blame you. Could not blame you. We actually ended up canceling the celebration festivities this Saturday.
Because you don't have any friends. I know. I understand.
Well, it turns out, a few too many people wouldn't miss it for the world.
For the world, except.
Anyway, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I took a almighty fall wakeboarding at the weekend, ripped the wakeboard clean off my feet and smashed my body quite badly.
Oh, wow.
But that evening I met a couple and they were very nice and I enjoyed their company. And she was a medical professional and she saw that I wasn't moving too well. And she said he got a problem and I sort of explained what had happened. And well, actually, I've jumped to the end of this story. Earlier on in the conversation, she was saying that most of the drugs she prescribes don't work. She was saying that, that to get FDA approval, you just have to be better than the placebo, but you can be marginally better than the placebo.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so it's like, it barely works, but, the placebo has an effect. So, but she said, really reliably, the only drug that genuinely works is cocaine. Which made me laugh that she said that. But then when she saw me not walking right, she said, "Oh, I've got some drugs that would help you."
You got some lines you can do.
So she gave me these pills and I took them. I didn't grind them up and snort them like she said.
Okay, yeah, right. Right.
No, they were some kind of muscle relaxant and they definitely helped. I had a couple of nights better sleep and I got out of the mess that I was in, so I was grateful. She was very funny, this lady. I enjoyed her company.
Really, the only thing that works is cocaine.
yeah, but I've got these drugs that work. I'm like, right. Okay.
Wait a second. I'm doing the math
Logically, what you're giving me here is cocaine. All of my incidents at the moment are about doing injury to myself. I was doing some gardening, or as Americans would call it, yard work.
Right, okay.
And piece of foliage flew into my eye.
Oh no.
Not painfully, but it was just in my eye. And I was like, it was quite big. I figured that if anyone was around, they could just fish it out. But I was doing the poison ivy, so I had thick gloves
poison
on.
Ivy.
And so I didn't want to reach into my eye with my poison ivy gloves. And I've got full sort of regalia on. So I go to the house and I get to the door and someone's locked the door on me while I'm out doing the gardening, which I don't know about you, but that really irks me, So I slap on the door a few times and Lucas lets me in. And Lucas whenever he lets me in that kind of situation, his first reaction is to keep his earphones in and turn away from me as soon as possible,
Right.
So I sort of yell at him to get his attention, and I'm like, I got something in mind. I actually carried on doing yard work for about 2 more minutes, hoping this would just clear itself out, but it just wouldn't go away. So
right.
I said, look, I got something in my eye. Can you just fish it out? And he was, okay, I'm going to tell this story twice. This is my version of the story. He was useless. He was absolutely useless. I'm lying down under a light going, look, I can feel it. And he's like, I don't see it. I don't know what to do, Just hopeless.
Right, yeah.
I ended up sticking my head under a tap, running it, and then it basically went away.
Okay, there you go.
His version of the story, which he told to the family, was, so he's banging on the door like it's the end of the world. And I open the door, and he's dressed like a Ghostbuster.
A Ghostbuster. That's a fantastic imagery there.
The family are loving this. They're just loving that he's sort of riffing on me. And he's like, there was nothing in his eye. I don't know what he was talking about. I was like, oh, you little rat.
Dressed like a Ghostbuster. Just like Vecman. I think one of them was called
Maybe.
Vecman.
Yeah. So that was my weekend of physical woes and people who could or could not help me in
right. Yeah, apparently. Yeah. Well, hey, I always get nervous whenever you are around poison ivy because you have a terrible history with poison ivy.
Yeah, I mean, it's rife out there, but I am now taking very much more serious precautions.
Good. You need to.
Yeah.
I've seen the side effects when you don't.
Yeah.
They're not good.
Our Discord viewers have not, because Discord would not allow the image of my pustule to be uploaded. Do you remember? It said it was too graphic.
Yes. I forgot about that. Luckily, the picture of the bag successfully uploaded today, so Discord didn't have a problem with that.
It doesn't care about bags. I mean, because really, that's a horror show for a bag.
Do you know what happened to me today? Of all days, today it happened. I was making a turkey and cheese sandwich, and I had the turkey on, and I got a new thing of cheese, Swiss cheese, in fact. And, there's supposed to be like the little perforation that
starting
you're supposed
point.
to be. Yeah. Well, I was looking on both sides. I couldn't find it. So I got a pair of scissors out, and I cut where the line would have been with the scissors. Still could not get that thing open. So I cut it a little closer to the, the seal pressed edge. Still couldn't get it. I fought with that thing for so long. I was like, I understand what's happened now. I understand how that bag ended up because I wanted to tear this bag apart. So ultimately, I just cut the top, like across the top, and just took all the cheese out and put them in a sandwich bag.
Well, now I'm worried that my mother-in-law has started a trend.
Yeah. Or maybe cheese slice manufacturing companies have accidentally put too much pressure on their little seals. They're not unsealing anymore.
All right, well, let's get down to business. How did we leave Bran Stark? First of his name, Not. Last we saw of Bran, he was entering the cave where the three-eyed crow abides. He was welcomed there by the children of the forest. Turned out they're not mythological. The three-eyed crow turned out to be a greenseer. He broke Bran's heart when he told Bran that he will never walk again. However, he added that Bran would fly. The caverns are warded against the White Walkers and the Whites, but they're hanging around out there. You'd better believe it. Mackelly, why don't we give the summary of this one?
All right. Well, time loses meaning in the caves. Outside, the snow piles high, the moon turns, and dead men with black hands and bright blue eyes shuffle around the cave entrance, but can't cross the ward. Inside, Bran sits on a throne of white weirwood alongside his teacher. Meera asks the greenseer his name in the common tongue. He says that his mother named him Brynden. Brynden suggests Bran's uncle Brynden Blackfish might have been named for him. A child of the forest that the kids have named Leaf says Brynden is the last greenseer, adding that most of him has gone into the tree. Leaf explains that he lingers for us, for you, for the realms of men.
Leaf tells Bran further that Brynden has 1,000 eyes and one, but there is much to watch. Bran will understand one day. Later, Bran asks Jojen and Meera what the trees remember. Jojen, having recovered his health but now seeming sadder than before, says the secrets of the old gods, truths the first men knew, now forgotten even in Winterfell. Those secrets are still alive in the wet wild. The Crannog men live closer to the green than in Winterfell. Bran suggests maybe the Reeds can be greenseers too, but Jojen says his only gift is green dreams, and his role in all of this is finished.
Bran and Meera give the children of the forest nicknames: Ash, Leaf, Scales, Black Knife, Snowy Locks, Coals, since their true tongue names are too long for humans to speak. Humans call them children of the forest, but they call themselves those who sing the Song of Earth. Above ground, Summer and his pack dig through snow to fill their stomachs with meat from whites. Whereas below, Bran and his friends eat well, but Bran struggles to separate dreams from reality. During training, Brynden tells Bran to never fear the darkness. It is his shield. It will make him strong.
Brynden trains Bran to slip his skin. Warging Summer is easy, so Brynden has Bran try warging a raven. That proves to be harder. However, these birds have shared their skin before, and after 2 failed tries, Bran connects with the third raven and soars through the cavern. He feels someone else in the bird. Brynden explains that it's the essence of a long-dead singer. Brynden says that once the singers, or children of the forest, taught the first men to speak to ravens. Men sent messages through ravens, and the birds spoke those messages. However, over the ages, men have forgotten and now tie parchment to the birds with messages.
We'll be right back.
Hello, friends. Are you ready to make some unforgettable memories? Well, if so, consider the Marriott Bonvoy program. Discover the perfect destination for your summer getaway and unlock exclusive deals on luxurious accommodations. With our affiliate partnership, you'll enjoy unbeatable savings and a seamless booking experience. Don't let summer slip away. Visit Marriott Bonvoy today and make this vacation season one for the books. Use our Ghosts of Harrenhal affiliate page to check it all out and buy Bonvoy points or give some as a gift. The link to our page is in the show notes. Brynden explains that only 1 man in 1,000 is a skin changer, and 1 in 1,000 of those are greenseers. Singers destined to become greenseers are born with red or green eyes. They're frail and don't live long on Earth. However, once they pass into the wood, there they linger long. 1,000 eyes, 100 skins. Later, Jojen provides the metaphor that a reader lives 1,000 lives, and that the singers had no books. Their trees are their books. When they die, they become part of the godhood men call the old gods. Maesters say weirwoods are sacred to the old gods, but the singers believe they are the old gods.
Meera and Jojen go to see the Black River deep underground. Hodor can't carry Bran down the rope, so Bran stays behind, sort of. Bran is still warging Hodor, and still nobody knows it. Hodor no longer resists, he hides deep inside himself when Bran reaches for him. As Hodor, Bran tags along, saying Hodor on cue. On the return trip, when Jojen can't climb back, Hodor hauls him up. Bran knows no one must ever know he wargs the big guy.
As a wolf, Bran hunts with his pack. As a raven, he flies with his murder. As Hodor, he explores the cave system. Once he crossed a slender stone bridge over the abyss to find a chamber of enthroned singers woven in roots. Most look dead, yet their eyes follow his torchlight. One's mouth opens as if to speak.
Jojen is prone to sullen wandering, causing Meera to fret and weep. She says he wants to go home and will not fight his fate. Without the use of his legs, Bran is helpless to comfort her, and she flees their sleeping chamber. Later, Brynden tells Bran that it's time for him to go beyond skin changing, to learn what it means to be a greenseer. To prepare, Bran eats a bowl of white paste made of weirwood seeds. Bitter at first, then sweet, tastes of honey, snow, pepper, cinnamon, and his mother's last kiss.
In the darkness, Brynden tells Bran to slip his skin into the roots, rise to the trees and see. Bran does and finds himself in Winterfell's godswood, looking out through the heart tree's eyes. His father sits by the black pool, his sword ice across his lap. Winterfell, Bran whispers. Ned looks up and asks who's there, but Bran recoils, pulled back to the cavern.
Brynden says he saw a shadow of days past. Brynden explains that the men flow through time's river, however trees root in place and do not understand time. He adds that a greenseer may gaze into the past, but cannot change it. Bran insists Ned heard him. Brynden calls it only a rustle in the leaves. Brynden has ghosts of his own he can never reach. He tells Bran that once Bran masters his gifts, he may look where he will. Yesterday, last year, 1,000 ages past. Eventually, Bran will see beyond the trees themselves.
When Hodor returns Bran to his chamber, he drifts back to the godswood in his sleep. This time, he sees a younger Ned praying to the gods. Let them grow up close as brothers, and let my lady wife forgive. Bran whispers, Father, it's me, Bran. But it comes out only as a rustle in the leaves. Ned stares at the tree before returning to his prayer. Quickly he dissolves.
From there, a flurry of scenes race by. A girl he thinks is Arya and a boy dueling with sticks. But the girl cannot be Arya because that would make the boy him and the boy is not Bran. Next, a pregnant woman begging for a son to avenge her. A very skinny brown-haired girl kissing a very tall young knight. A dark-eyed youth shaping weirwood arrows. Stern Stark lords flicker past quickly. At last, a captive man kneels before the heart tree. A white-haired woman with a bronze sickle slashes his throat. As the blood drums into the earth, Bran can taste it.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tricky summary because there is no time down there. Yes. And so things are just like
we're
later.
Like weirwood trees.
Yes. You never know exactly how long after one conversation, another conversation, or two events are happening. It's broken up a bit by these eerie scenes that are happening outside the cave with the moon and sun coming and going and whites milling about.
Yeah.
But
and eventually,
in general,
the arc for the whites is they basically get buried in snow, right? They stay out there just waiting, and the snows come and they get buried, but they're still there, and they can dig themselves out if they smell something interesting, I would assume.
Sure, yeah, and others are joining them. Other, white animals and white wildlings, I'm guessing. Probably some Night's Watch whites. Yeah, I mean, I think the point of all of those scenes that are happening above ground is to show the passage of time while life inside seems like one continuous day.
But don't you think it's slightly strange that the greenseers have traditionally been children of the forest, but they're going to have two in a row who are human?
Yeah, maybe it's part of the long dwindling that Leaf mentions.
Yeah.
That they, maybe they're transitioning to using human greenseers over singers, possibly. But yeah, you're right. I bet it's unusual. We don't know the history of the greenseers, but it seems unusual.
Right. But one thing that is quite different about it is that they're saying, they said that the children of the forest greenseers were short-lived. But my back-of-the-envelope calculation tells me that Brynden Rivers is about 125 years old.
Yes,
so
exactly.
There may not be as many human greenseers, but you get more bang for your buck with them. They stick around.
Well, the whole thing about whether a greenseer is alive or not alive gets very confusing when, as Hodor, Bran stumbles across that cavern of singers. I'm not sure whether to call them singers or children of the forest at this point, because in the whole chapter they're called singers.
Yeah.
But he stumbles across that chamber of singers that he thought were dead until he noticed their eyes are following him, and one of them opened their mouth as if to speak. So
you think
maybe
you thought your interpretation of that was that they were previous greenseers?
Yeah, I really wish Bran had described their eyes to us, because we get the description that greenseer singers have red or green eyes, and the more Gen Pop green singer has gold eyes. So it would have really been helpful. Is that where singers generally go? Is that how they enter into the godhood? As Jojen explains, they literally go connect themselves to roots of weirwoods, or are we seeing a room full of greenseers that have died and are like fully in the tree at this point?
Yeah. Or I wonder if it's because if they are melding with the tree and the trees are immortal, that basically they perhaps just lose the ability to communicate what they're seeing. They continue to live and see what they see, but they become less and less human and more and more part of the tree, and the tree is immortal.
I see what you mean. Yeah, because I guess that would explain why Leaf called Brynden the last greenseer. Because if those are greenseers in that room, then he's not the last greenseer. But is he the last greenseer that can still communicate with the outside world?
Right. And I wonder, has there always only been one at a time, or do you get the feeling that there were multiples going?
We'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Audible. To get a free audiobook, or 2 if you're an Amazon Prime member, go to our exclusive URL, audibletrial.com/ghostsharrenhal. You can find the link in our show notes. That is a fantastic question. Are they like Siths in Star Wars? Yeah, that's a really great question. And I have no idea what the answer is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's somewhere in the maybe it's somewhere in the canon, but I do not know.
And actually, now I think about it, it'd be kind of tricky to sort of like, this one is kind of like fading out. We need a new greenseer. Let's move this one into that chamber. Oh, wait. They're part of this tree. Perhaps the chamber's walls sort of grow around each tree, sort of they move them.
That's true. How'd they all get in there? On their last days, do they get moved to that? They dig them out of the root network they're in and relocate them? That's fantastic. You're posing all kinds of great questions that we don't know the answer to.
So I wonder if they would all be so... I get the feeling that both Brynden and the children / singers are thrilled to have Bran there, that they see Bran as... 1 in a million, literally 1 in a million.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if they'd be as thrilled if they knew what he was doing to Hodor.
I know. Bran knows better than to let anybody ever know that he is warging Hodor. And I thought, does Brynden truly not know? It seems like something that he might be able to tell is happening. But we know from Varamir Sixskins, his mentor, Hagen, who was just a wildling, he said, that was an abomination. That was the worst thing you could possibly do, is warg another human. So you would think a greenseer who's, kind of a professional warg would have even more strict rules about such things.
Yeah. The one thing about it being Hodor, the victim being Hodor here, is that he has very little capacity to explain what's going on. And also, Bran can fake him much more easily than he could anybody else.
Right. 1 word is all you have to master.
It'd be kind of funny if Hodor stubbed his toe while Bran was in there. He said, "Oh, wait a minute." I meant Hodor.
That's true. That would ruin the whole thing. That would bring the whole house of cards down on him.
Yeah. At least it feels like, obviously this is like a fictional crime, but it does feel kind of like violating. It does feel at least that Hodor has found a way to sort of come through it with his wits intact. He just hides in a corner of himself and lets Bran take over.
Yeah, and I wonder if Bran wasn't a child, if he might have a better capacity to understand the level of violation that he is committing there.
I'll raise you, if he was an adult, he would care less.
Oh, really? You think he...
Yeah, adults have the capacity to understand better, but they also don't have the empathy that a child would have.
Well, yeah, I guess that makes some sense.
Not
I just
necessarily
wonder.
true. There are nice grown-ups.
I agree. I think I think there are plenty of nice grown-ups out there, and so I wonder if he had an adult's code of ethics, similar to, say, his father, the person who he was raised in the image of, theoretically. Would he think this is wrong of me to invade this man's mind?
But you know what? I'll throw to Brynden that he is a child. As a child who was robbed of his ability to walk, and he was an active child.
Right. Yes.
I mean, most children of the 21st century wouldn't notice their legs were missing.
That's possible. Yes, it would be incredibly tempting to just, especially since Hodor is such a physical specimen too. Like that only makes it worse, makes it harder for him to resist, I'm sure.
So Jojen's health has rebounded, which is interesting, because I thought Jojen was on the way out. I mean, his health was deteriorating the whole way here, but his health has rebounded. But his mood hasn't greatly improved, and that makes me worry, because the one thing I do know about Jojen is that he knows his own death. He knows when that's coming, and it feels like that's the kind of thing that would make you a little sullen and sulky.
Yeah, I guess you could go either way with it. You could either try and embrace every last moment and be, with your loved ones, like your older sister.
But if every last moment was in a cave with a guy welded to a tree, I mean, how much embracing can you do?
Yeah. He tells Bran, my part in all this is done.
Right.
And could that be what's making him sad? Because he knows from now on he's just a spectator? Or, like you said, does he know his time and manner of his own death is creeping closer? Meera thinks he wants to go home, and as you mentioned at the beginning of our discussion here, that seems unlikely, considering there are whites just like piling up outside the cave entrance. And the idea of near mortality, it really frightens and saddens Bran at the same time, and he suggests to Jojen and Meera, maybe you could be greenseers too, which, he's a young boy, so, he still has these moments of, wistful thinking, wistful wishing, I guess. But I can understand for anyone, the idea of immortality would both be tempting and terrifying at the same time. Watching your loved ones grow old and die would be near unbearable.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he's a little boy, and the permanent nature of this endeavor, seeing what he's going to look like, he can look at Brynden and say, "That's me. That's my future." That would be daunting.
Is it though? I mean, have they said that? Because Bran hasn't done this. Bran hasn't welded himself to a tree, but he's already doing the things that the greenseer can do. Is it necessarily a factor of it, or was it just because Brynden was an old man who came and sat by a tree and the tree grew around him,
Yeah.
It does feel like it because of the chamber of the children of the forest as greenseers.
Yes. It feels like to fully be a greenseer, you must need to be connected to the weirwood roots, the weirwood system of the world.
And it would be ironic if the one kid who couldn't move was the one who was the mobile one.
It didn't have to. That would be ironic, cruelly ironic. But before we wrap up on Jojen, though, he says to Bran that Winterfell is basically too cosmopolitan to remember the secrets of the old gods, and that only in the backwoods of Greywater Watch do they remember such things. You don't think the Reeds can speak to ravens? I mean, it's never come up. You would think if that's something that one of the things he was referring to, it would have come up.
Here's my theory there. That's a good question. You are asking good questions now too. They absolutely can. They absolutely can. They can totally talk to ravens. The problem is nobody on the other end of the call can.
Right.
So they're forced to write the message as well as tell the Raven. Look, here, Raven, when you get to the other end, tell them this. Okay, but I'm going to write it on your leg too because they won't know.
They
And on
won't
the other
read.
end, if the person would just read the message out to the Raven, they could deliver it. But they don't bother. They just tie it to the leg, you see.
Right. Yeah, I see. So, but they could send it to each other in your
Oh, yeah. I
in
mean,
your
within,
situation
they
there.
totally do that. Yeah. All the time. It is basically Craddockman text messaging, just Ravens constant.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in reality though, I would think it would have come up if that's something that they could do.
But seriously,
Jojen
I mean,
and Meera.
I'm making a serious point too. It takes two. It absolutely takes two to tango. And why would it be useful to anyone to know? Hey, you know what? We can talk to ravens.
Yeah, no, you're right. The only upside
Can you
is
really?
Like, if Jojen and Meera wanted to send a raven back to Greywater Watch from Winterfell after everything had gone terribly, just, after the sack of Winterfell and everything by the Boltons, just to let their father know we're okay, could they have found the nearest raven and said, please take this message to my father? Yeah, I got a message for you.
Maybe they did. They weren't POV characters.
Right, that's what I mean. It's never come up, but you'd think it would if it is a thing they could do.
So,
speaking of warging ravens.
Yes, exactly. Bran's attempts at warging the raven sort of like worked after a while. Brynden makes the point that these are easier to warg. Well, I mean, I think just Bran knows this for himself. These are easier to warg than typical animals because they've been warged before. They know the experience and they don't reject it for out of hand. But even then, it takes till the third raven before he finds one. And we're reminded of what we knew from Varamir, that, well, not actually from Varamir, but from Oral.
Yeah, well, Varamir learned it. We learned it through Varamir because of Oral and his eagle.
Right, that's right. Yes, yeah. That the wargs who die, particularly those who die whilst in situ, leave a part of them behind. And that animal still has that warg within them. So, it's another sort of connection for Bran to the history in the past, that raven. Of course, the ravens have a lifespan. It's not like the raven is thousands of years old.
Yeah, Brynden says it was
long dead.
It was a long dead singer whose essence was in that raven, and I thought, how old are these birds?
That's a good point. Yes, it can't be that old. Yeah.
Yeah, and they live hundreds of years, so. Long dead, it's all relative.
I read of a typical backyard bird that you get here, like a Baltimore Oriole or something like that, who was found to be like 12 years old.
Okay.
And this was felt to be a particularly old example of a Baltimore Oriole. Now, I'm not saying Westerosi ravens have the same lifespans as local Baltimore Orioles, but hundreds of years seems unlikely, is what I'm getting at.
Right, I agree. I do feel like crows can live like close to 20 maybe or something like that. I feel like I heard once.
I think the bigger the bird, the longer the lifespan, probably.
Yeah. But still, Brynden says that all of these ravens have the essence of singers in them.
Yeah.
And I just was curious how old those birds are. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So we've mentioned his name several times, but we've learned the identity of the three-eyed crow, the last greenseer. He is Brynden Rivers. I had a feeling you were going to put this in background, so I haven't said too much more about it. You're going to talk about Brynden Rivers in background, aren't you? And
I definitely am, yes. We've been discussing this. Well, I shouldn't say we've been discussing this for a while in spoilers, because we just only discussed it last Bran chapter. That's the Greenseer's identity. And here's the evidence we have Here's the evidence that we have that this Brynden is Brynden Rivers.
Yes, because he never actually says Rivers
Brynden.
in this chapter.
Yes, he just says Brynden. He says that boys are named after him for years, and that possibly Brynden Blackfish, Bran's uncle, great uncle technically, might be named after him, which means he is likely a known figure if he is the Brynden that other Bryndens are being named for.
Yes.
He also mentions he had a brother that he loved, a brother that he hated, and a woman that he loved. We're going to discuss that in those in background. We saw last Bran chapter that he was wearing black. They were barely black anymore, but what looked like long ago Night Watch blacks.
Yes.
And we know that Bloodraven, Brynden Rivers, was a brother of the Night's Watch toward the end of his life. Yeah. And he has the telltale birthmark, the wine-stained birthmark that goes from his neck up to his face. He's missing an eye, just like Brynden Rivers was. Brynden Rivers was an albino. He had white hair, red eyes. All these things are true. Now, of course, I'd imagine anyone who's 125 years old probably has white hair.
And lives in a cave. He'd be pretty pale by that point. No, I think you've got your man there.
Yes. He mentioned several details about his life in this chapter that I am going to give you the background on in background.
Cool. Also, when he speculates that Brynden Tully might have been named for him, couldn't he just go, hang on a second? Yeah, he was.
I wondered that too. Can he just go look and see real quick?
Exactly. like how specific can your visions be? I want to rewind to River Run 64 years ago and the naming of Brynden Tully. Let me see. Oh yeah, named for me. Awesome.
So we now get a better idea of why Melisandre saw 1,000 eyes in the flames when she saw that vision of Brynden and Bran. She saw a wooden face that was corpse white, and she saw 1,000 red eyes rising in the flames, and a boy beside him with a wolf's face that howled. So, Leaf also says that Brynden has 1,000 eyes in one, but that there's much to watch. And there's a bit of a layered meaning going on with 1,000 eyes in one when it comes to Brynden. I mean, like, first off, he watches through all the weirwoods, the ravens, etc., anything a greenseer can see through. But as we're learning, they're all kind of connected to this godhood that Jojen mentioned. So in that way, he's seeing through 1,000 eyes in one. He also only has one eye, so everything he's seeing is through one eye.
True.
We'll find out in background why he only has one eye. But there was also a saying when he was spymaster in King's Landing. How many eyes did Lord Bloodraven have? 1,000 eyes in one. So there's a whole...
At that time, did he have one eye or two?
He had one eye at that time.
Oh,
he had one eye.
Okay.
Yeah, for most of it anyway.
Right.
But we also get to understand why the eyes are red that Melisandre sees, because, like we mentioned earlier, the average singer has gold cat-like eyes. Only those marked to be greenseers are born with red or mossy green eyes. So, it's kind of all comes together a little bit there.
Yep. I mentioned the other day when we had the Melisandre chapter that she might see Brynden and Bran as her ultimate opponent. And it is interesting that in this chapter, Brynden talks about the dark and how it is Bran's friend, and how that's not how Melisandre and the Makaros of this world see the darkness.
Very different, yes.
They try to get away from it at all times.
Yes, according to Brynden, it is not full of terrors, like Melisandre always says.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it'll be his cloak, his shield. It will make Bran strong.
But I do wonder, it would be an interesting sort of twist on this if the Great Other was in fact just a different group. You know what I mean? Like, in the same way that the Night's Watch have seen the wildlings as their ultimate opponent for centuries.
Yeah.
Now it turns out they're not. I wonder if Melisandre is confusing who she's trying to fight, which look, there's clearly something supernatural north of the wall that isn't good and isn't
Right.
controlled and supported by Brynden and Bran.
Right.
But
Yes,
I wonder if there might be a
definitely.
connection of some sort, you know.
Yeah. So this made me, this whole different take on darkness made me think about was, like you said, are they actually at odds with each other in this final battle? To me, that seems unlikely because we've met Bran and we've met Brynden and we've met Melisandre, and I think they all have the same common goal.
They would all try and fight a white or a White Walker.
Yes.
Pretty
Both
much
are
without hesitation. None of them
Yes.
would be on its side.
So maybe they're two sides of the same coin and they have to work together to defeat this great other. They just don't realize that one embraces the darkness, one pushes away the darkness. And in a bit we're going to see that the greenseers can see the past. We know that the red priests at least believe they can see the future. So maybe we've got a past and future that has to come together to to defeat the great other.
Interesting. So Bran graduates from warging to see through the weirwoods. The weirwoods live forever if left undisturbed, but of course they haven't always been left undisturbed.
No.
Children of the Forest definitely think that the coming of men was bad news for the weirwoods, that a lot of them got chopped down in that time.
South of the neck.
Mm-hmm. For these trees, time has no meaning because they see all and they live forever. And that's how he are able to see past things through their eyes. But it felt like Brynden was also saying that with time, Bran would be able to see things that even a tree hadn't witnessed.
He did make a reference to that, yes, that you will be able to see beyond the trees. And that stood out to me, but we don't have any context exactly for what that means. Now,
maybe if you could see something where a tree once was, or something like that.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it feels like this is the primary job of the greenseer, right? The warging is neat and probably useful if you're stuck inside of tree roots.
Yes. Raven, will you bring me something to eat? I'm stuck here.
Oh, but so I think this, I believe Brynden says this, you're going to learn what it means to be a greenseer. And his very first glimpse that he gets after he eats the weirwood seed paste and goes into the tree is his father in the godswood at Winterfell. And when he snaps back out of it because he's shocked, Leaf says, well, you saw what you wanted to see. That's usually how it begins. You saw your home, you saw your family. But this is when Brynden makes the reference that he tells Bran, you're going to learn to be able to see yesterday, a year ago, 1,000 ages ago. And Bran says, well, when am I going to be able to do that? And Brynden says, it's unclear. I haven't glimpsed that yet, how long it will take you. And so that's where I was wondering, can greenseers see into the future as well, or is it just into the past? Maybe that seeing beyond the trees is the ability to see in the future. It was unclear to me whether he meant, I haven't glimpsed that yet, but maybe I will, or that's not something that I can glimpse.
Right, yeah, exactly. There's definitely those two interpretations of that. Yeah. Future glimpses, interesting. I mean, George Martin's written himself that capacity here. It could be done. So we'll see if that can get used. For me, the biggest question of this chapter is Bran special? Obviously, he's special. I mean, obviously, we think he's special because he's a POV character. Right. But they say that 1 in 1,000 can skin change or warg. 1 in 1,000 of those becomes a greenseer. But none of those can speak in the past. They can't make themselves heard and known to the past. They can only observe. But twice in this chapter, Bran interacted with his dad. Both times, Brynden said it was just rustles in the leaves, but it wasn't. We know it wasn't. We know it was Bran talking, which may have just caused a rustle in the leaves, which made his dad look up. But I have a feeling if this is Bran on day one of his training, that Bran, when he's the new last greenseer, might be able
Right.
to do more than Brynden ever could and actually interact with the past, which would be amazing. Can you imagine that? Imagine how thrilled he would be if he could have a chat with his dad.
Could you imagine what you could do with that power? If you could go, I mean, that could be power that might be just too much to wield, you know?
Go back and tell John Arryn, don't put it like this. The seed is strong.
Right.
Don't speak in riddles. You're going to die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, like you said, Brynden says that it's just whisper on the wind, a rustle in the leaves, and that he has tried to connect with his own people, the brother he loved, the brother he hated, the woman that he desired, and has failed. But he wasn't in Bran's vision. They asked, "What did you see?" to Bran. So no one else in that cavern, I don't believe, actually saw whatever happened when Bran went into the weirwood. So he can't say for sure whether Bran made more progress than Brynden had made.
Because it would be quite interesting if coming out of that vision, if Brynden had been able to witness it, coming out of that vision, Brynden was looking at Bran with his one eye very wide, like, what did you just do, kid?
Now, Bran's own description, both times when he saw his father, was that it sounded like a whisper in the wind and a rustle in the leaves. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe that's all he'll ever be able to do. But it sounds like you get better at things. You get better at warging. You get better at greenseeing.
And think of how much younger he is starting out than Brynden was when Brynden started out.
I actually, do you know that? Do you know how long Brynden has been the greenseer?
I think it's been like 48 years.
48 years, okay.
I think. I looked that up and I didn't write it down, and so
I just wanted
think
to
it's something like that.
Fine. So, just speculating, if Bran could do things, could he change the past? I mean, we're expecting him to learn things because again, one of the joys and difficulties of this book is that there are great secrets hiding from the past that we would love to unearth, and some of them felt like they'd been cut off. For example, who Jon's mother was.
Right.
Felt like everybody who knew the answer to that question is dead, and so we'll never ever know. Well, now we have a get out of jail free card.
Yes, we do. Yes, it could be very useful for our plot lines here. His ability to do this. Yeah.
Be funny if actually Winds of Winter was just like, all right, here's what Bran's learned. The end. So other examples would be what happened to Uncle Benjen, whether Aegon was whisked out of King's Landing before the fact.
Yeah. Now see, some of this stuff you would think Brynden would know already, like especially dealing with his house Targaryen, like that situation, you know?
Yep. But then again, what, as an ancient man half buried in a tree, do you do with that information? I mean, do you tell the crippled kid who's just arrived? Oh man, I got something you would not believe.
You want to hear some gossip? I'll spill the tea. That's how they pass all those days.
I can spy on Cersei in the shower.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, he snaps back out of it after speaking to his father and realizing his father was startled to hear the rustle in the leaves and said, "Who's there?" And Brynden basically says that's enough for today, and Bran's taken back to their little sleeping alcove. And Bran falls back to sleep and slips back into seeing these visions without being in his little root throne.
Right.
Which is kind of what you were saying. Do you have to be connected to the root throne in order to have these visions? So either he can, or this is just a dream. It's unclear.
Mm-hmm.
But he is seeing things that seem like they really happened, true
Yes.
events.
So let's go through Bran's dream one by one. 'Cause the first thing he sees is his own father, much younger now, praying with a bowed head, and he hears him say, "Let them grow up close as brothers, with only love between them, and let my lady wife find it in her heart to forgive." Well, this is the only one that I can definitively crack, because he
I
is
think so,
praying
yes.
for Robin, John, and Catelyn.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yes, he's recently returned from Robert's Rebellion with John, and he's speaking of John and Rob growing up close as brothers with only love between them. And unfortunately, I'm not sure Kat ever really does find it in her heart to forgive
This prayer
him.
went unanswered.
Yes.
But it would be nice if the wind rustling in the trees right now would say, "And who is his mother?"
Say the name aloud. It will help you.
Yes. Part of the prayer is to know the truth. The second one is a girl and a younger boy play fighting with branches. And there's an interesting sort of like facet to this one, which the girl looks like Arya. And so Bran momentarily believes it's Arya and him, but then he realizes that the boy has got a haircut that Bran would never be seen dead in. And so,
totally out of style now.
So he doesn't know who it is. Now, I think I know who this is, and the TV show kind of backs up who this is.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll mention that then. But I'm pretty sure it's Lyanna and Ned, right?
Benjen.
Children.
Lyanna and Benjen.
Oh, it's Benjen. Oh, in that case, the TV show differs then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, we don't know for sure, but the girl was older than the boy, and Ned is older than Lyanna. So it seems like it was Lyanna and Benjen.
Oh, I see. Ah. Good to know.
But again, we don't know for sure. And Ned told Arya that she looks so much like Lyanna. So that one seems very secure. That is likely Lyanna.
It is interesting that Robert Baratheon tore down the Seven Kingdoms for the love of Lyanna, who looks like Arya, who gets called Horseface.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Clearly.
A
whole war, because Rhaegar threw away everything for her. So a whole war was started over Lyanna.
Right. My God. But actually, I wonder with not Rhaegar. This is not Rhaegar's fault at all. But there's a little something in what Robert did, because Robert grew up with Ned, right?
Yeah.
And Ned has familiar Stark facial features, right? So he basically looks like Lyanna. And so
right.
Robert grew up with Ned and then fell in love with the sister who looked like the brother. I mean, it's like, I don't know.
Familiarity, I guess, the female version of his best friend.
Exactly, yeah.
But this is the last one that we really can make any true, speculations on. Everything else from here out is just fan speculation.
Yeah. So a pregnant woman coming out of a black pool praying for a son to avenge her. You got any? I don't even have any speculation on that. I don't know who that is.
Yeah. So I did a little digging, and there's no way of knowing for sure. I saw some people suggesting that it was either the wife or some female relative of Bran Stark. Lord Bran took a mortal wound while fighting the Ironborn, and it caused a lot of House Stark infighting over succession. And so this book's not out yet, but there is a Duncan Egg novella that is supposed to be coming out called The She-Wolves of Winterfell, and it's thought that story is going to be captured in that. Well, this story will be captured in that book, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, definitely the next vision will, because a slender girl on her toes kissing a knight as tall as Hodor, that one is the one that I believe is going to be in that book. That George Martin has talked about what's going to be in that book. He hasn't written it yet, but the idea is that Duncan Egg, when Egg is king, I believe, or is he still?
I don't think yet. I think he's still
before he's king. Visit Winterfell, and they meet a bunch of Stark women and have adventures.
Well, so they, as I understand it, Dunk pledges his sword to Bran to his cause of removing the Ironborn from the north. And then the succession issue ensues while they're there, I think. Which there's a lot of Stark men that were killed, so there's a lot of women in Winterfell that are, that are trying to piece this all together. And it's speculated that it's Old Nan and Dunk that share this kiss. Now, Hodor is the great-grandson of Old Nan, and some believe that he is the descendant of this union between Old Nan and Dunk. Now, the only thing we know about Old Nan for sure is that she was hired as a wet nurse for a Brynden. She can't remember which Brynden it is.
Right.
But I did a little looking, and the grandson of Baron, there were 2 twin boys, Benjen and Brynden. So the timeline fits right around when Nan could have been hired to be the wet nurse.
But don't you think if you were the wet nurse, you'd remember that it was twins? You might not remember which Brynden it was.
Right. Maybe she couldn't tell them apart. She thought they were both
She
Brynden.
just thought it was one. This kid is greedy.
Now, there's another possibility. Baron's sister, Arsa, was unmarried. Some think that she could be the girl kissing this tall knight, who I think most everybody believes is Dunk at this point. But there's also the thought, and it is a stronger belief, that Dunk is Brienne's ancestor.
Yeah.
Because his sigil was found on a shield in the armory in Evenfall Hall, and pretty much George Martin has confirmed that there is a relation between those two.
And actually throwing it out, if it was the slender girl on her toes kissing the knight was a prelude to a union that led to offspring, that led eventually to Brienne of Tarth, that would explain 2 aspects of Brienne of Tarth's character. 1, her height, and 2, her unbelievable stubbornness for honor. I never thought of it, but of course she's a Stark. It goes without saying. And then really the cryptic ones: a pale dark-eyed youth cutting 3 branches from the weirwood and shaping into arrows.
Most people that I saw were talking about Brandon Snow as a possibility, the bastard brother of Torrhen Stark, the king who knelt to Aegon the Conqueror. He had offered to sneak into the Targaryen camp and kill the 3 dragons if Torrhen wouldn't bend the knee.
Oh, very good.
Which has created speculation of whether weirwood arrows can kill dragons. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything beyond this little line here to suggest
more
that.
bad news for the weirwood trees if that gets out.
Oh, right, yeah.
Then other lords of Winterfell, tall, hard, stern men in fur and chainmail. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like sort of like rewinding through time to a sort of like a catalogue of these guys. And then
kind of showing the passage of time, like how much time has passed between the pale, dark-eyed youth and the one you're about to mention right now. Like that a lot of time has passed since then.
Yes, a bearded man forcing a captive down on his knees and a white-haired woman killing the captive with a bronze sickle. So what I read about this one was this might be sort of like very early sort of like worship of the old gods with sort of blood magic being given to them.
Yeah, it definitely feels pre-Andal because of the bronze sickle. I felt like there's a reason why the sickle was bronze. It was before the Andals brought steel to Westeros.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Possibly involving the founding of Winterfell by House Stark. But yes, remember in that last Davos chapter, which is the last Davos chapter, he and Sir Bartimaeus were discussing those slavers who had taken the Wolf's Den, and when the slaves got freed, they killed the slavers and hung their entrails in the weirwood of the Wolf's Den. And Davos said, "I didn't know that the old gods required blood sacrifices." And
right.
All Bartimaeus said was, "There's a lot of things you Southrons don't know."
Exactly.
So maybe there is a blood sacrifice situation here. But I think the other thing about that last bit, the last one about the woman killing the man, is that when the blood spills into the earth, Bran can actually taste the blood of the
it.
captive. So I think it implies that he more than just sees, he feels and experiences what's actually happening at the moment.
I think he's going to
time.
change the past.
Oh.
We're going to get timelines. That's the problem with Winter. It's one timeline, and then Dream of Spring will be a different timeline.
Right, yeah. Yeah, George Martin's got too tangled up in the timelines.
All right, that's excellent. It's time for some spoilers. Join the Buy Me a Coffee Sustainers at the Landed Knight or higher levels, and you can get in on the spoilers. All right, well, thank you. Those were thin but interesting spoilers. How about some background?
Okay, well, let's talk about Brynden Rivers. So he mentioned that his mother named him Brynden at her breast. So who was Brynden Rivers' mother? Well, Brynden was born to Melissa Blackwood, the 6th mistress of King Aegon IV. Brynden is also an albino, hence the red eye. He was born with 2 eyes. We'll go into his lost eye here in a second. He was also born with a large red birthmark running from his neck up his face that some believed resembled a raven, hence his nickname Bloodraven, one of his many names he mentioned being called in this chapter. Now we get to his lost eye. So despite being a great bastard of Aegon the Unworthy, he remained true to his half-brother King Daeron II, which is a candidate for the brother that he loved.
Right.
Rather than support his fellow bastards, led by another half-brother, Daemon Blackfyre, another candidate for the brother that he loved. All this in the first Blackfyre Rebellion. His personal force of archers, dubbed the Raven's Teeth, killed Daemon Blackfyre and Daemon's son Aegon. So if Daemon is the brother that he loved, then that is very sad that it was, he was forced to kill him in battle. Anyway, this is the origin to another of his many names, Kinslayer. The rebels were briefly rallied by another half-brother, Aegor, which is, I'm pretty certain, the brother that he hated. I don't think there's much debate on that one. The following duel between the 2 brothers left Brynden without an eye, but ultimately it was Aegor that retreated and fled to Essos. However, there was bad blood between Brynden and Aegor, aka Bittersteel, before this duel took place. For starters, Brynden's mother Melissa replaced Aegor's mother Barba Bracken as the king's mistress, which, not to mention, they are also Blackwoods and Bracken, so they were destined to hate each other from the beginning. Yeah. To make matters even more uncomfortable between the 2 half-brothers, both men desired their half-sister, Shira Seastar, which I'm pretty sure is the woman that he references having desired.
Can I also add that it's making me uncomfortable too?
All right. Probably a lot of people are feeling that same way. So Brynden, or Lord Bloodraven as he was often called, became Hand of the King and Master of Whispers, 2 more names, to his nephew King Aerys I. It's during his time as Master of Whispers that saying began about Lord Bloodraven having 1,000 eyes plus 1. He was instrumental in squashing the next 2 Blackfyre rebellions. And when the Great Council was convened to determine King Maekar's successor, Aenys Blackfyre asked to peacefully put his name in for consideration. Brynden, as Hand of the King, agreed and promised safety. However, when Aenys arrived in King's Landing, Brynden had him beheaded. Aegon V eventually won the throne when his brother Maester Aemon turned it down, and his first act as king was to have Brynden arrested for Aenys' murder. Brynden said he sacrificed his honor for the greater good of the realm, but Aeg was ultimately unmoved, and he sent Brynden to the wall, accompanied by Maester Aemon, along with a lot of other people I won't go into right now. It's thought that Brynden might have taken the Targaryen Valyrian steel sword Dark Sister with him when he went to the wall. Now, eventually, Brynden was named Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, another name, and he served in that role for 13 years before disappearing while ranging north of the wall. I believe that was in 252 AC.
48 years.
Like I said, right. 48 years. I think I think my memory is right on that.
Well, I mean, there should be a spin-off show.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Brynden Rivers.
His background is so long. I cut out so much information to make this at least manageable here.
So, comparison with the television show, Brynden, who's played by, or at least in the later seasons, he's played by the inestimable Max von Sydow, accompanies Bran on his visions. You mentioned that Brynden didn't see Bran's visions, but in the TV show he did, and they discussed them. It is definitely Lyanna and Ned playing in the Godswood. Bran wants to tarry, of course.
Not Benjen.
Not Benjen.
Ned.
It is Ned, yeah.
Okay.
Bran wants to tarry, but Brandon warns him against it. The past is still the past and cannot be changed. But there's clearly a moment where Ned hears him and reacts.
Okay.
But there, Brynden is kind of like, this kind of thing happens. You can't actually contact them,
Right.
Sometimes it just lines up. You say something as the wind blows, and
Right. He
feels like you're talking to him.
Your father turned his head in the direction of you right as you happened to say something.
Yeah.
Complete coincidence.
What I do is I come back here and practice again and again till I get it just right, and then I really feel like I'm talking to them.
Right.
Pedantry corner. I so wanted some moon pedantry because the moon kept jumping around in this chapter. It was full, it was new, it was crescent. But then I realized he was marking the passage of time with it. This chapter takes months and months, basically.
Right.
So
Imagine
my disappointment.
Like I said, right. I'm sure. I did wonder because I actually read through those bits of the chapter carefully to see if I saw anything that seemed out of place, and I wondered if you had found anything that seemed. I didn't, because I don't know what I'm talking about, but you know more.
Well, I mean, if you don't tell us the timeline, you can just make it jump wherever you want. You can go from
right.
crescent to full to fine.
Yeah.
All right, news and notes.
Okay, so
this is, by the way, this is disturbing news to me. This one.
Okay.
I was really hoping for this to be a lot later in 2026.
We've got a lot of Westeros-based TV viewing headed our way next year. HBO has confirmed that A Night of the Seven Kingdom will premiere in January of 2026. We also know that House of the Dragon Season 3 will premiere in late spring, early summer. So that's 14 episodes of A Song of Ice and Fire related content to consume in less than a year, possibly less than half a year, I guess, depending on when House of the Dragon starts. But that's 6 A Night of the Seven Kingdoms episodes and 8 House of the Dragon episodes. I am a little disappointed that there's only going to be 6 A Night of the Seven Kingdoms episodes, but it is what it is. So anyway, get your popcorn out and get ready to binge.
14 is that's the most there's ever been in a year, I would imagine.
It is, absolutely. Yeah.
Kevin bought us a cup of Arbor Gold, and for this we are very grateful. Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, thank you very much. And we have a very nice review from Special Fab 12345 in Apple Podcasts Canada, or through Apple Podcasts in Canada, I guess I should specify. And the subject line is, "You're welcome." I listen regularly on Spotify, and I literally had to re-download this app just to give you guys a 5-star review. Haha, keep entertaining me weekly.
That's awesome.
Well,
thank you, Special Fab 12345. It's very kind of you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing that. I've always found it quite a bit of a unusual situation that most of our listening is done through iPhones, but we have 7 to 8 times more reviews on Spotify than we do on Apple Podcasts, or ratings. You can't review on Spotify. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, thank you, Special Fab, and thank you, Kevin. We appreciate both of those so much.
Seconded. All right, let's conclude this one. Brandon can now fly. Brynden Rivers was not lying. Not quite by himself, but he does experience the sensations of it, which is no mean substitute, especially for a kid whose life has become, restricted since the fall. So
yes, I'm sure that's incredibly
exciting
freeing. Yeah. And like we talked about, Jojen, he seems to be in a bad way right now. Physically, I guess he's improved, but his mental state is terrible.
I'm hoping that it's what you said, that he's just like his part in the story is done and now he feels a bit adrift and that's why he's kind of down. But I'm
Maybe,
worried about
yeah.
his constant reference to I know when I'm going to die, that could
Yeah.
be what's...
Now, he's always seemed sullen. Old Nan called him little grandfather, but he's at the point now where Meera is worried to the point of tears.
Yeah.
So that is alarming and concerning.
Yeah. I mean, think what they've been through, and this is what's worrying her, you know?
Yes, right, exactly. This is what's moving her to tears, so yeah.
So Bran
Concerning.
is, of course, now able to see into the past, and yeah, as you said, perhaps the future. So what secrets await him and us? There's so many. Come on.
Oh, there's so many.
Come on, let's just wait for Bran 4. And when did you say when Bran 4 was out again? Winds of Winter.
We're still waiting. Yeah, I mean, that could be very useful to uncover secrets, mostly for our sake. I mean, it would be the plot lines, right? Those visions.
You know, if he does Winds of Winter and Dream of Spring the same way he did what was the previous book?
Feast for Crows. And now,
and Dance with Dragons. We're going to strangle him. Because...
we gotta wait another 20 years.
Exactly. We were like, where is Bryden, you might ask? Yes, we would.
But yeah, I mean, and then those visions that he saw at the end of the chapter, are they going to be useful for our plot lines? You know, or were they just things we were seeing just to see them? Mm-hmm. I'm sure some of them will be less useful than others, but like that one at the end with the woman sacrificing that man, that feels like it was something. It was something we needed to know, some event. Yeah. So, you know, we'll see.
Boiled leather. Sorry, I've got stuck in my mind on this now.
And of course, we've got Jon's mother and Benjen's fate. Those are two things we've been wondering about for a long time, and it'd be really great.
And Brynden wouldn't know to look for did Aegon actually die, but we would look for that.
And he also wouldn't know to look for his Uncle Benjen's fate unless someone like Jon says,
that's true. Yeah.
Hey, what happened to our Uncle Benjen? Can you go find out?
Yeah.
So, but yes, this is goodbye to our young Bran. Here we leave him right as his story arc is getting really good.
I know. It's the worst possible time to lose him.
His new abilities give his POVs a whole new dynamic. He goes from arguably the most boring POV character to the most intriguing.
Yes.
And it's sadly the second POV we've set the pen down on in A Dance with Dragons, along with Davos.
Oh, well, we haven't put the pen down on Jon. Next week we'll be back with Jon, just a little bit south of here. See how he's getting on. There's 3 ways that you can help us. You could leave us a positive review, as Special Fab did. You could buy us a cup of Arbor Gold, as Kevin did, at buymeacoffee.com/ghostharrenhall. There you can join at the upper tiers to get the spoiler section. Or you can just make a donation directly to our cause at our website, ghostsofharrenhall.buzzsprout.com.
And hey, if you're looking for more ways to interact with us, well, you can always send us a text. The link is at the top of every episode show notes. Just please keep in mind, we have no means of responding, but we do very much enjoy reading them, especially when you say nice things. And if you're interested in keeping up on the latest Ghosts of Harrenhal news and developments, well, I suggest you check us out on our social media, especially if you want to see what the bag looks like that Simon talked about last week. I posted it on Discord today.
I didn't really think about that. It is absolutely critical to the podcast that people come to the Discord server to see the picture of the bag. Otherwise, it's lost on them.
I will post it on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Sounds good.
But you can follow us on Twitter at Ghost Harrenhal, or on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, and YouTube.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.